Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another video here at Outventure. Today I'm going to show you how to set up the HHA Tetra RYZ. I'm doing the 2-pin. They also have a 3-pin, but just going to show you guys how to get it set up, how to do the yardage tapes, and hopefully have you ready for this season. Thanks for joining. All right guys, first things first. This comes in 2 pieces in the package. This comes as a piece, and then the housing with the infinite adjust plate right back here. All you're gonna do is attach these 2 screws onto your bow. If you got one of the newer Matthews, you can do the dovetail insert. It's gonna be very similar. So just tighten up these 2 screws. Then you're gonna loosen up these 2 Allen wrenches back here, and right here. Loosen those up and slide this, they're calling it the infinite adjust plate. Slide this right down into here. Then I just kind of put mine towards the middle here, and then just snug those up a little bit. That's gonna be your first step. Then what you're gonna do is, the next thing, you're just gonna get in on this plate. Right hand guys, you're gonna turn it counterclockwise. Get that top pin. Get this top pin here on the tape. Move that to the 0, have that point on the 0, and then just lock this in. So these are your locks here. So you just loosen that up, turn it counterclockwise. If you're right-handed, get that to 0, and then just lock it back up. Okay, after you get that first set up, the next thing I did was I just put an arrow in here, and then I loosened this twist knob here. So loosen that, and then I just kind of held my bow out, and I just put it in the center of my rest, kind of lined it up with my peep. And then I moved the housing, the windage, just to line it up as straight as I could. So when I'm shooting, it's as close as possible to what I think would be the center. And then I just tighten that back down. All right, after all those are complete, then what we're gonna do is get your rangefinder out. You're gonna go to 20 yards. You're gonna get everything as close as possible. I would do your left to right first, your windage. And then what you're gonna do is, if you gotta move up or down, that's where this infinite adjust plate comes in. You're gonna loosen these 2 just about a quarter turn, just enough that you can move this infinite adjust plate up or down to get your height right. So that's what you're gonna do next. And then once you get that 20 set, you're gonna tighten these both back up. All right guys, you gotta make sure you're at exactly 20 yards. It's very important for getting the tape set up right. So make sure you're at exactly 20 yards, and then go ahead and throw a few shots down there. My first shot was quite a bit low, so now I'm just gonna loosen these up a little bit, and then you just follow your arrow. So I'm gonna move the infinite adjust plate down. All right, so I loosened those up, these 2 Allens, and just scooted the sight down here. The infinite adjust plate, just scooted it down a little bit. So now we'll go take another shot and see where that lands. That shot was pretty decent, just a tick high. I'm just gonna see if it was shooter error real quick. All right, I sent a couple arrows downrange. A couple of those I knew I pulled, but the last couple, they were really close. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up. My left to right was actually pretty good, just eyeing it. You can actually do a quick adjust with this windage, just the micro adjust, which is really nice. So if you get it really close, you can just adjust it a little bit back and forth with this micro adjust knob here, which is nice. So I'm just gonna tighten up these 2 Allens here, just to lock those in place on the infinite adjust plate. All right guys, after you get the 20 yards sighted in pretty well, we're gonna go back to 60 yards. Make sure that you guys are exactly at 60. Just really wanna emphasize that. The 20 yard measurement and the 60 yard measurement is really important to make sure you get the right sight tape. So we're gonna go back to 60. Make sure you got a few arrows, because you're just kind of guessing at this point. You're going to rotate the, you're gonna rotate this dial, and you're kind of almost just guessing at this point to see where this lines up. And then I'll tell you guys what we're gonna do after that. But work your way out to 60, start shooting, adjust this dial where you're hitting at 60, and then leave it there and lock it in place. So you're gonna loosen this so you can adjust the dial as you go. Once you're at 60 yards and you're hitting where you want, tighten this back in place, and then we're gonna use those two numbers to determine what sight tape we're using. One thing I forgot to mention is when you're sighting this in, you're only gonna be using the top pin. So even when you're back at 60, only use the top pin. Don't worry about the bottom pin right now. So go ahead and adjust your yardage. And then I'm just kind of guessing. I'm putting mine at 50 on the top pin here on the slider. I'm gonna put mine at 50 and kind of see where that lands. Obviously, the bigger target you have, the better, just so you don't lose arrows. All right, guys, I'm shooting a little high, so I'm gonna adjust this. Follow the arrow. So I want the housing to move up, so I'm gonna move mine up to probably about 40, 44, and just lock it back in and see how it goes. All right, that was low. We're gonna adjust again. I'm gonna go to 48. That one was right in there. The last three were close, so I know I'm right in the range. So I'm gonna tighten this down. Mine's on 46. And that's gonna help us figure out what yardage tape to use. After you get done shooting at 60 yards, you get that number set and you lock down your dial. That's where the yardage tapes are gonna come into play. So what you're gonna do is, if at 20 you were still set at the 0, unless you had to max out and adjust for that reason, most times you're gonna be at 0. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your 60 yard number of where you were locked in. For me, it was 46. I'm gonna subtract 0 because that's where the first marker was when I was shooting at 20. So I'm gonna use tape 46. So I'm gonna find that. So 46 on the second page, I'm gonna find that, and then I'm gonna place that over the other tape. Now what you wanna do is, since you have that dial locked in, you want that top pin to line up with the 60 when you put this on, because that's where you were shooting 60 at. So you want that top pin to line up with the 60 on whichever tape you're using. All right, guys, I got my sight tape on there. Like I said, your top pin here on the dial should line up with 60 now. So after you do that, they've got some Mylar ends you just put over the end so that helps it not peel. Then you're gonna be pretty much all set. You're all set up. Now anywhere you go, depending on your yardage, you should be sighted in and good to go. One thing you guys can do too after you get your yardage tape done is, if you have a bow vise, you can do this, or you can go to your local bow shop and get that third axis adjusted. It's nice to have a bow vise and get that done. Just to make sure you put it on a 45 degree, adjust it, make sure your level is all lined up and everything for that third axis if you want to do that. I didn't show that on this video. I don't have a bow vise, but that's something you'll probably want to get done as well. Hopefully this video was helpful to you guys. If you're looking for more setups, reviews, hunting videos, and stuff like that, come back to our channel and subscribe. We really appreciate you guys. Go out and have your own adventure.